It's the 200th birthday year of Frederick Douglass. And since Frederick Douglass lived in Lynn and really became Frederick Douglass in Lynn, we created this committee to celebrate his time in Lynn here all year long. So today is actually our last day of events. So we're holding both this cemetery tour of Lynn Abolitionists who were friends and colleagues of Frederick Douglass while he was here, and then also kind of a gospel music event and narratives this afternoon. When I started studying Frederick Douglass around 10 years ago, it was to figure out what he had done in Lynn. And so then I learned about the Lynn Abolitionists, and there were many. And Lynn was actually like kind of a wealthier city at that time, or becoming one. And it had a lot of people who were both radicals and really wealthy who helped to really support the abolitionist or the anti-slavery society, both locally and nationally. So this is the story of the people who really helped build the anti-slavery movement. And that's why Frederick Douglass came here. Frederick Douglass came to Lynn because we had such a strong abolitionist community in Lynn that not only protected him, but also helped him grow and grew with him in the fight against slavery. And we have some pictures and stories about these individuals. So we're actually highlighting 11 people today. So it's not, hopefully it won't be as long as 2 hours, but we'll spend some time. It's a perfect day. It's a perfect fall day, and hopefully just the foliage and everything else will be nice as well. Okay, it took me like a year to find James Bufham's grave. James N. Buffham became kind of like a footnote when he really should have received more coverage by the authors and the people who study the abolitionist movement, because he was so integral. I clicked on the obituary in the New York Times. I knew it was in the New York Times, and you can get a copy of it online. But I don't know why I never realized it was on the front page of the New York Times for that day. That's how important James N. Buffham was in his day. When Fred Douglass was dragged out of a car on the Eastern Railroad because of his color, Mr. Buffham heroically fought the mob. He and Douglass went to England in 1845 to protest against the Free Church of Scotland, keeping the money contributed to it by the slaveholders of America. I think Lynn has completely or almost completely forgotten James N. Buffham. It's so funny how, you know, someone can be so famous and important to people of a time, and then after a generation or two completely, you know, lost. So I don't know a lot about George Greene, but I'll tell you what I know. He's always listed as one of the active abolitionists. He was also a temperance man, and if you don't know what that means, it means he wanted to see drink outlawed, you know. He was from a pretty prominent Quaker family. Avis, his mother, was an important leader in the Quaker Church, so it's kind of interesting because George Greene was a come-outer. And the come-outers are really abolitionists. The Quaker Church, way back in the 1700s, had started to expel people who were involved with slavery. So the Quaker Church itself was institutionally against slavery.